Hari Om. My pranams to all Atma Jyotis, divine light of the self. I welcome all of you for today's session of Atma Darshana program. This Atma Darshana program is once in a month, second Saturday of every month. English class is from 8 to 9:30, so that it's convenient for India and USA time. Here I will take one topic of Vedanta, one small topic, because there's many things you are studying. I'll one key topic and I'll get into some details. Then we'll have a small meditation and we'll conclude. So there'll be a question answer session after that. Those who are interested in question answer session and feedback can stay. So after that we'll conclude. So there are two parts. First part is a presentation, making some things clear, then meditation, then conclusion. Then second part is about feedback, interaction, and question answer. So let us start today's session. What we are doing is Vedanta study circle. Each circle represents one group. There are many groups, and the light is the light of the self, Atma Jyoti. It is Atma Dnana, the knowledge of the self, which we have received from the masters, Sriman Narayana, Sadashiva, many acharyas. We are distributing, we are distributing among ourselves, and we are distributing with others. The mechanism is groups called Vedanta study circle. Each is a circle. Each circle has 5 members, and 5 members interact very closely, and this becomes a satsanga. Sri Shankaracharya said, Satsangatve nissangatvam, nissangatve nirmohatvam, nirmohatve nischalatatvam. Satsanga is a place where like-minded people get together, share their views, so that the views, understanding of Vedanta becomes deeper. This is actually what you call manana. Now Vedanta has 3 parts. Vedanta teaching has 3 parts: Shravana, Manana, and Nididhyasa. There are many people who keep on listening Vedanta, but Manana doesn't happen properly. So this mechanism is adopted of 5-member group to do Manana. So each group, each of you, you belong to each study circle. So the understanding becomes deeper when a lot of different viewpoints come together. But only because 5 people are there, that understanding, the sharing becomes easy. And gradually I see these groups are expanding. So 5 people, there are some groups, 10 people become 10 groups, then already the groups are becoming 2 groups. Like that, these groups will spread. The whole purpose is receive the teaching of Vedanta and understand ourselves and pass it on to others. So let us offer our respects to Guru Parampara, which has given us this wisdom. Let us do the prayer. Sadashiva Samarambhat Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Padyantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Let us offer our respect to Sri Shankaracharya. Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Padam Shankaram Loka Shankaram. Let us offer our pranams to Guru, Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo, Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat, Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri, Guruve Namaha. So this Vedanta study circle is designed in such a way that learning of Vedanta, it goes to every home. In the comfort of your home, you create a satsang and you are able to learn, understand the Vedanta in depth. In other words, the Gurukula concept of a centralized space has moved into house. Every house should become a Gurukul. Ghar should be Gurukul. Every house becomes a Gurukul. And Man Mandir, every mind becomes a divine. That is the vision of this Vedanta study circle. All of you are participating in this, and most on the coordinators, they are putting a lot of effort in bringing this wisdom to all of you. May Sadguru bless all of us. let us proceed. Today I will try to explain one concept. In every session, I will have one concept explained. Second Saturday of every month, I will have one session. So today I'm taking this concept of what we call as states of consciousness. So there are many states of consciousness. Okay, we know many of them. There are normal states of consciousness where all human beings, all animals will go through, all living beings go through what I call as normal states of consciousness, which are waking state, dreaming state, deep sleep state. It is common to human beings, it is common to animals. So there are abnormal states. Abnormal states is there's a hallucination. Somebody drinks alcohol, somebody takes drugs. So there are abnormal states also. Not all the beings, all the people will not go through. Somebody takes a drugs, he will go through hallucination. They may see fantastic things. I have heard of people who take LSD and they feel expanded state of consciousness. Okay, there are some alcoholic will see a tiger on the street. Some alcoholic will see the sky is falling. So they are all hallucinations. So then there is an unconscious states, a coma, right? Somebody is admitted to hospital, intensive care unit. He can go through a coma for many months. He will not have any external awareness. So then there are supernatural states. We have heard of many people who are having special power. So somebody can read the mind, telepathy. Somebody can see the things which are what you call what a distance called remote viewing. Somebody is able to predict your future. So they are called supernatural states. These are abnormal states. So then we have something called meditative states. The meditative states are two types, Chetana Samadhi and Jada Samadhi. The conscious meditative state and unconscious meditative state. So these are the states of consciousness. I don't think I have missed out anything. If there is something, you can tell me. But by and large, I have covered all the states of consciousness. Now, what are we trying to do? We are working on our own state of consciousness so that we evolve. We evolve into higher state of consciousness, or we realize the oneness of Jivatma with Paramatma. That is the purpose. So where does the states of consciousness fall into? Mental states of consciousness. So there is these states of consciousness, 8 states of consciousness I told, right? I told totally 8 states of consciousness that I put into 3 boxes. So the first box is a waking state, dreaming state, hallucination, and supernatural powers. So this I call it as type 1 states. Its mind is active and world is there. World in some form is there. Mind is active. Okay. The second state, I said type 2, where mind is inactive. Okay. World and thoughts are absent. That I call it as unconscious state, coma. Somebody is in coma in the hospital, ICU. Somebody is in deep sleep, or somebody is in Jada Samadhi of meditation. So these I put 2 boxes, type 1 and type 2. So totally 8 states I have divided into, put 2 boxes, 7 states into I put 2 boxes. First, let us understand why I have put in these 2 boxes. So, the states may appear as many, but really there are only 2 varieties. One is mind is active and mind is inactive. There are only 2 states. Others are substates of that. In the waking state, my mind is active. When the mind is active, the world appears. Okay, in the dreaming state also mind is active and the world appears. And there is a state of hallucination. So somebody you say some strange things, but his mind is active. And supernatural ability, telepathy, his mind is also active. So these 4 things I put it as one state, one box called mind is active state. The world appears. Okay. So now how can you put waking and dreaming, hallucination, supernatural state? So hallucination is like a dreaming state. In the dream, you see so many things, somebody flying and all those things. So hallucination is equal to a dreaming state. Supernatural ability, I'm able to read the minds and all. This is some extra power in the waking state. Now, waking state and dream state, are they in the one box? They are in one box because in the waking state and dream state, mind is active in some form and the world appears. So this all together is one state. Now we'll take another state where mind is inactive. So in the mind is inactive, the ego is absent. In the waking state, the ego is there. I am the doer, I am the enjoyer, I am the knower. In the deep sleep state or coma, there is no concept. In Jada Samadhi, in meditation, many people enter into state where there's a blankness, where there's nothingness. So that they think is a meditation, that's called Jada Samadhi. So totally 7 states I have put into 2 boxes. Mind is active and mind is inactive. So now, what we are aiming for in Vedanta is not Jada Samadhi, not these states, mind active, mind inactive. We are actually looking for Chetana Samadhi. The Chetana Samadhi is called Nididhyasa. It's very different from Jada Samadhi. The word for that is called Jagrata Sushupti. You are fully awake, like waking state. And you are fully asleep, like deep sleep state. Peaceful, like deep sleep state, and fully awake. That means it's 2 in 1. So in the mind active, wakeful state, but thoughts are there. In deep sleep, the mind is inactive, thoughts are not there. We are combining these 2. It's called Jagrata Sushupti. Mind is fully active, but mind is full of thought free like deep sleep. That state is called Nididhyasa. It's called Chetana Samadhi. In Vedanta, we are looking for what we call as Shravana, Manana, and Nididhyasa. We are not looking for a Jada Samadhi. So now, a practice of Nididhyasa, which involves Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasa, will lead to Jivan Mukta or enlightened state. A Jada Samadhi will not lead to enlightened state. Only Chetana Samadhi leads to enlightened state. So that's why I have put 3 boxes. One box is where mind is inactive. Another box is mind is active. Third box is mind is active, but mind is in like a deep sleep relaxation state. So this is the state of Jnana, because mind should be active to get Jnana, wisdom. So that's why this state alone leads to Jivan Mukti, liberation. Other states cannot help you in liberation. So now, let us understand what we are looking for. As a human being, I am born, I grow up, I work, I become a middle-aged man, I become old man, then one day I die. In this, there is a changing component of me and there's an unchanging component of me. The changing component of me is the body, mind, and intellect. Body, mind, and intellect is constantly changing. By birth to death, our body, mind, and intellect is constantly changing. Whereas the unchanging component is the Atma. It never changes. It's always same. So every day I speak, I am going, I am coming, I was born, I grew up in Mysore, I got married, I went into job. That I is unchanging. So in our concept, there's an unchanging I and changing part of me. Now we mix up these 2, changing and unchanging. And that mix up is what we want to try to remove. We want to focus on the unchanging I. That unchanging I is the Atma, the self. Whenever I say I am has 2 components, I and am. I is pointing to consciousness. Am is pointing to existence. This is called Sat and Chit. So Sat and Chit, always we are aware. For Sat and Chit, we don't need Vedanta. Always you know Sat and Chit. I am going, I am coming. Always you are referring to an unchanging I. But where Vedanta comes into picture, when Sat and Chit is confused with the body, mind, and intellect, which is changing. So we have to separate out this separating process called Viveka. Then what we don't know is the Sat and Chit is Ananda. Ananda is not the wrongly translated as bliss. Ananda stands for Ananta, infinity. So that Ananta is called Brahman. So Vedanta is required. All people, everybody knows Atma. Whenever you speak of I am, you are speaking of Atma. But you are mistaking Atma for the body and mind. That separation has to happen. And that I am has to point to infinite self, Brahman. So here the Vedanta comes into picture. And this understanding I am the body is universal error. Everybody makes it. So only Vedanta can help us to become free from this illusion of the limited self. So then I is consciousness, I am is existence. That I am is also Ananda. That recognition we need a Vedanta study. So before understanding Vedanta, we need to understand what we call as Upadhi. Upadhi is a conditioning. So the conditioning, this room is there. There's a space in the room and there's an outer space. The space in the room appears to be conditioned with the wall. In reality, space is not conditioned. Similarly, Atma is there in us and Atma is there everywhere. Atma seems to be conditioned by the body and mind. This conditioning is called Upadhi. So I want to give you an example of Upadhi. Take water. Water is equivalent of Atman. Okay. For water, you add tea. It becomes tea granules. It becomes tea. You add mud. It becomes muddy water. You take water from Ganges. It becomes holy water. You take garbage. Then it becomes dirty water. You add tomato and spices. It becomes soup. You add lemon and sugar. It becomes lemonade. You add sunlight. It becomes rainbow. Now, this what you add is a conditioning. It's called Upadhi. When you add to water, please understand nothing happens to water. The conditioning superimposes certain qualities on water, and water appears like a tea. But nothing has happened to water. Appearance has changed. So there's a plurality is there. Plurality. Water was one reality. It appeared as a plurality. Tea water, muddy water, holy water, dirty water, soup, lemonade, and rainbow. So this conditioning is called now. Upadhi is different, but water is same. Similarly, Atma, water is tasteless and colorless. That's the nature of water. Atma has no qualities: touch, sound, smell, taste, and form. So on Atma, we add Upadhi called body, mind, and intellect. Then Atma appears to be an individual. Atma appears to be a human being. So this Upadhi is responsible for superimposing something on the Atma. We have to understand Atma separate from Upadhi. That is the process of Vedanta, which is called Neti, Neti, Neti. Not this, not this, not this. So now, let me give you another example. We have to understand our essential nature. Essential nature is called Swarupa. And extrinsic nature is external quality. The essential nature, if it is not there, that object is not there. For example, essential nature of fire is to burn. There's no cold fire. Essential nature of furnace, fire is to burn. Similarly, essential nature of water is to cool. So now, if I heat the water, what will start boiling? The water receives the heat from the fire. The fire does not belong to water. The fire is the extrinsic nature and coldness is the intrinsic nature of water. So after water cools down, again it goes back to cold nature. Similarly, Atma has an intrinsic nature. That intrinsic nature of Atma is called Sat Chit Ananda. Existence, consciousness, bliss. And Atma has the extrinsic nature, which is the body, mind, and intellect. So let us look at our three states of consciousness: waking state, dream state, deep sleep state. Right? In the deep sleep state, there's no body, there's no mind, there's no intellect, there's no world. So in the deep sleep state, we don't have any Upadhi. There's no conditioning. When there's no Upadhi, the real nature of Atma gets exposed. What is the nature of Atma? In deep sleep, do I exist? Obviously, I exist, because if I don't exist, one who slept and one who woke up is different. So existence is my nature. It's called Sat. Are you blissful in deep sleep? Yes. After waking up, I'll say I was very happy. I was very good sleep. So the bliss is called Ananda. Then, are you aware in deep sleep? I don't know what is there in deep sleep. There's nothing in deep sleep. I am aware of nothingness. That awareness is called Chit. Sat Chit Ananda is my nature, gets exposed in deep sleep, where there is no duality, where there is no upadhi. Upadhi is superimposition. So that state is a pointer to my true nature, Sarupa, Sat Chit Ananda. So now in deep sleep, there's no jnana because the ego is not there. The knower is not there. But I am there, awareness. Awareness is my nature. So that I am, but I don't have ego. The ego comes up in the waking state. The entire search for spirituality is done by the ego. Ego appears in the waking state. Deep sleep is not a state of problem for us. Deep sleep, there's no jnana, no wisdom, but deep sleep itself is a state of rest. So the problem is in the waking state. The moment you wake up, the first I thought comes, I am thought comes. So there is the ego. That I am thought associated with the body. So there's upadhi called ego appears, upadhi called body appears, and the world appears. So in the unlimited nature of this self, Ananda gets split into a subject and object, me and the world, in the waking state. In the dream state also, there's a dream world and me. So now look at these states very closely. In the waking state, the waking body is there, waking world is there, and waking ego is there. So in waking state, I have work in Bangalore, I'm a software engineer, I have a family. The moment I go to dream, the waking world has disappeared. Now I work in America, I'm an artist in America, I have a different family. So the dream world is different from waking world. The waking world is gone and dream world appeared. In the deep sleep, dream world also disappeared and nothing is there. So the world appeared and disappeared. Waking world appeared and disappeared. Dream world appeared and disappeared. In deep sleep, there's nothing is there. So which means the waking state, dream state, deep sleep state are temporary states. What is temporary is not real. It appears and disappears. So that is what's called Mithya. Now what is Satya? In the waking state, dream state, deep sleep state, I am there. I am the one who knows waking state, dream state, deep sleep state. That I am is the Sakshi. What is my nature? That Swarupa of me is Sat Chit Ananda, which gets exposed in deep sleep state. So now the problem is in the waking state. Ignorance is in the waking state. The person who is in the waking state is trying for jnana. He is trying for enlightenment. So entire teaching has to be given to the waking state guy. So all teachings are with respect to waking state guy. So our understanding is with respect to waking state guy. And the waking state guy has to understand I am Brahman. Waking state guy has to understand dream and deep sleep state. So jnana is for the waking state person. The upadhi of body, mind, intellect has to be understood and separated out in the waking state. That's called viveka. So the Atma, the self, is ever shining. It's awareness. It's always there. Now, Atma is not limited by anything. Atma is infinite, just like water. When upadhi gets added, Atma appears to be limited. When tea is added, water appears to be like a tea. When tea powder is added, water appears like a tea. When mud is added, water appears like muddy water. Like that, Atma appears as a body when ego and body and mind, upadhi is superimposed. So the I thought comes in the mind. The mind is an appearance in consciousness. So the I thought gets superimposed on Atma. Then I associate with the I. So that's Atma appears to be limited. Then body gets superimposed on that. I am the body concept comes. I become limited by body. Okay. So then I am limited because I want to become unlimited. I start building my empire. Mine. I, me, mine. So me is body and mind. Mine is my family, my job. So this circle grows. But we have to understand this entire concept is in the waking state. The moment you enter into dream state, this whole waking world disappears. The dream world appears. In the deep sleep, all these worlds are washed out, and deep sleep, nothing is there. So what is reality? What appears and disappears is mithya, unreal, it's temporary. What is there in all the states is the Atma. That is my true nature. So this we have to arrive at through understanding Shravana and Manana of Vedantic teaching. So what is the difference between a Gnani and Adnani? A ignorant person. The ignorant person and Gnani both are called Jivatma. Jivatma has a combination of two words, Jiva and Atma. So the Atma is common to all. My Atma, your Atma, Atma of an elephant, Atma of a donkey, Atma of a monkey, Atma of ant, Atma of a tree, Atma of a mountain, everything is one Atma. That's why it's called Paramatma, Supreme Self. Now there is no two entity called Atma and Paramatma. There's nothing called inner space and outer space. There's only one space appearing as two. So Atma and Paramatma. But because of the Upadhi, superimposition, this Atma appears to be limited. The ego, I thought, the intellect, mind, and the body get superimposed on Atma. The ego superimposes body, mind, and intellect on the Atma and says, I am the body, I am the mind, I am the intellect. In that process, Atma appears to be limited, and ego is constantly restless. It wants to become something. So that becoming causes a stress in life. The past, future, the ego lives in the past and future. Worries, memories, imaginations haunt the ego. Manas is disturbed. Whereas Gnani is also Jivatma. The ego is called Jiva. We are a combination of Jiva and Atma. Gnani is also Jivatma. Atma is common to Gnani and Adnani. But Jiva or ego gets purified. So Jiva understands, I am not the body, I am not the mind, I am not the intellect. Nanembudu nanalla, ideha manabuddhi nanalla, Sachidananda Atma, Shivananu nane, Shivoham, Shivoham. I am not the body, I am not the mind, I am not the intellect, I am pure consciousness. This understanding purifies the ego. So when the ego is purified, the intellect and the mind and the body work under direct guidance of Atma, who is the witness. So now Gnani is no longer Jivatma, he is Mahatma, because Atma is nothing but Paramatma. So this is journey from Jivatma to Mahatma or Paramatma is the spiritual journey. So because he has understood his infinite self, there's a deep peace and love in the mind. Such a person is called Jivan Mukta, liberated. So now, how does this liberation happen? Vedanta teaching is Jnana is required, which is Shravana and Manana. So this is called Atma Jnana. These are the two wings of the bird, Shravana, Manana, and Nididhyasa, Dhyana. So Nididhya, we have to understand the purpose of Shravana, Manana, and Nididhyasa. The Mana eva karanam manushanam bandha moksheho. The cause of bondage and liberation in the mind. The superimposition is happening in the mind. The clarity has to emerge in the mind through Viveka and Vairagya. That can happen through Shravana and Manana. So the entire process of Shravana is listening to the teaching of Vedanta. Manana is the contemplation. So your Atma Jyoti Vedanta Study Circle group is facilitating Shravana and Manana. By discussing, you arrive clarity, the deeper clarity. By listening to the teaching, you get Shravana and Manana. So then Nididhyasa has to happen. Nididhyasa is inner transformation. Now what happens in the Nididhyasa is Nididhyasa or meditation does not give any additional knowledge. In Nididhyasa, when you go inwards, your subconscious impressions will come out. Vasanas will come out. Now these vasanas, impressions, you face with the wisdom which you acquired in Shravana and Manana. So gradually subconscious impression will go. So now Shravana, Manana, and Nididhyasa are two wings of a bird. This with one wing it can't fly. So this entire process when you follow, there's a deeper transformation within the individual. And the direction for life, the phase is the Karma Yoga. We have to have a service-oriented attitude to life. Because always we live with selfishness, me, mine, I, me, and mine. The attitude of service is called Karma Yoga. The Atma Jnana is self-realization, I am Brahman, and Sarvam Khalida Brahma. All this is Brahman. The totality is Brahman. For the totality, whatever we offer is called Karma Yoga. So Jnana, which involves Shravana, Manana, and Dhyana, which is Nididhyasa, and Karma Yoga is one package. So that package is what we call as self-realization. Now, I want to distinguish between Jada Samadhi, Jnana Samadhi, and Sahaja Samadhi. So nowadays, it has become very fashionable to say, I am meditating. The meditation has a lot of context. In corporate world, corporate trainers come and teach meditation. They tell you to observe the breath or observe the thoughts. That's also meditation. Okay. So in the process, you are separating yourself from the thoughts or observe the breath, concentrating. So this will help you to relax. The meditation helps you to become relaxed. It is a stress reliever. So then there are various meditation practices, especially yogic meditation practice, what we call as make the mind blank or mind thoughtless. The thoughtless state of the mind is called Nirvikalpa Samadhi, where the mind is made thoughtless. Now, Vedanta teaching is a thoughtless state of the mind does not give jnana, wisdom. Thoughtless state of the mind, Nirvikalpa Samadhi, is helpful, but it is not jnana, wisdom. So Vedanta, we are not looking for Nirvikalpa Samadhi, but we are looking for Nirvikalpa Jnana, which is very different. That's called Jada Jnana Samadhi. So here there's no wisdom, no new wisdom. The Manolaya or suppression of the mind happens. Mind goes to subtle state. In Vedantic Samadhi, here in this practice, Jada Samadhi or meditation, there are a lot of teachings are up there. Now, what is the main quality of this is a sleep-like state. So I meditate for 1 hour. Then what happened? I don't know what happened. I woke up. So 1 hour passed. The mind was dormant. The dormant state is exactly equal to sleep state. That is called Jada Samadhi. So I clubbed the Jada Samadhi, coma, and sleep in one box earlier. Is it useful? It is definitely useful. It gives you relaxation. It will give you peace. But that is not realization. So we are not looking for a Jada Samadhi in Vedanta teaching. We are looking for a Jnana Samadhi or Chetana Samadhi. The Chetana Samadhi is called Nididhyasa. So this is called Jagrata Sushupti. Our mind is fully active, like a waking state. That's called Jagrata. Our mind is deeply peaceful, thoughtless, like sleep. So this two-in-one combination is called Jagrata Samadhi. Jagrata Sushupti. It's called waking sleep. You are fully alert, mind is fully alert like a waking state. Then only jnana can happen, because jnana is for the waking person. Person who is sleeping, there's no jnana. Person who is dreaming, there's no jnana possible. Person who is waken up, he has ignorance, for he needs wisdom. That's why Jagrata Sushupti is very important. It's called Jnana Samadhi. Now, this state is not a thoughtless state. There is a deep-rooted thought called I am Brahman. Now, I am Brahman is not a repetition of, it's not a hypnosis. I am Brahman is not what we call as a self-affirmation. I am Brahman, I am Brahman, I am Brahman. No. I am Brahman is arrived at very, very clear understanding Vedantic teaching through Shravana and Manana. Okay, you in Nididhyasa, you are not supposed to repeat I am Brahman, I am Brahman, I am Brahman. There are many teachings are there where we keep on repeating oh, Soham, Soham, Soham. It's a mechanical chanting. I am Brahman is not a mechanical chanting. I am Brahman is a clear understanding arrived through Shravana and Manana. Jnana has already happened. There's no doubt. So I am Brahman, you stay as Brahman in Nididhyasa. It is a state of one thought called Brahman. I am Brahman. This thought is called Brahmakara Vritti. Nididhyasa is about Brahmakara Vritti. Nididhyasa is not about making the mind blank. Now this Brahmakara Vritti is so deep, it goes deep into our subconscious. Now the conscious mind and subconscious mind become one entity. Otherwise, our conscious mind thinks I am Brahman, subconscious mind thinks I am still, my old impressions are there. The entire thing, conscious mind and subconscious mind together, I am Brahman thought has to be developed. So that is the purpose of Nididhyasa. Nididhyasa leads to Manonasha. Manonasha means ignorance, destruction of the ignorance in the mind. So a repeated Nididhyasa leads to Sahaja Samadhi or Jivan Mukta state. So now this Sahaja Samadhi or Jivan Mukta state is what we are looking for. We are not even looking for Nididhyasa. Nididhyasa is a practice. Sahaja Samadhi is an enlightened state. Now, in the enlightened state, you are living like an ordinary person. You are living like your normal life. In the waking state, dream state, deep sleep state, you are fully aware that I am Brahman. It is like a person, when he goes to office, still he knows that he is a human being. He interacts with wife, he knows a human being. I am human, he knows all the time. He doesn't have to remember. Like that, I am Brahman, you don't have to remember. No practice is required. He is established in the truth. It's called Jnana-nishta or Brahmanishta. All the time, waking state, dream state, deep sleep state, I am Brahman. This wisdom has to come. Whom he has to come? For the waking state guy. Because waking state guy has a problem. And the waking state guy problem goes into dream state, because dream state is a reflection of waking state. Deep sleep state is not a state of problem for us. This problem solution has to happen in waking state. That's why Chetana Samadhi or Jnana Samadhi is required. So now, to give an example of Jada Samadhi, there was a monk, a sannyasi. He was meditating near a riverbed. He enters into Nirvikalpa Samadhi often. And he tells his disciple, please get me, fetch me one glass of water. The disciple goes and tries to fetch a glass of water. This guy enters into a Nirvikalpa Samadhi, thoughtless state. In the meanwhile, there's a river flood and he is buried under the sand. So people make a lot of effort to pull him out and he wakes up. He's still in Samadhi. It's an unconscious state. He wakes up and asks, where is my glass of water? There's no further wisdom. Whereas Jnana Samadhi, before you enter into Samadhi, there's a very clear Jnana, I am Brahman. In Jnana Samadhi, I am Brahman, Jnana will goes into subconscious. So it's a state of Jnana Samadhi. Before Jnana, before Samadhi, you are I am Brahman. In Samadhi, you are Brahman. And when you wake up, you are Brahman. It's a thoughtless state. Now it's called Nirvikalpa Jnana. Please understand, not Nirvikalpa Samadhi. So many people confuse Nirvikalpa Jnana of Vedantic meditation with the Nirvikalpa Samadhi of yogic meditation. There's a confusion. Nirvikalpa Jnana we have to do, and Nirvikalpa Jnana over a period of time, I am Brahman thought also becomes irrelevant. So then it becomes Nirvikalpa Samadhi, but it's a Chetana Samadhi. It is a Samadhi with awareness. It leads to Mukti or Jivan Mukti. So with that, I'll conclude this discussion. I just wanted to tell you about Nididhyasa. In next month, second Saturday, I will give some more details about Nididhyasa. Okay, there are a lot of videos about Nididhyasa, what I have talked. You are available on YouTube that I'll share in the AVSC group. You can look into that. So in next 2-3 sessions, next month, every session, I'll give some more deeper insights in Nididhyasa, into state of Jnana in the coming months. We'll have a small meditation, a few minutes of meditation, followed by closure. After that, we'll have a question answer session. So first, let us have a few minutes of meditation. Then we'll go close the meditation session. Then we'll go into what we call as question answer session. So let us meditate for some time.
Except for sleeping.
Please close your eyes. Sit silently. The outer world, what we call as outer world, physical world, is vast. It's infinite. The physical world is in the physical space. In Sanskrit, it's called Bhutakasha. The huge astronomical bodies, sun, moon, galaxy, float in the physical space called Bhutakasha. Bhutakasha is vast and infinite. But the entire Bhutakasha is available to us in our mind. The mind is called Chittakasha or mental space. The physical space appears in Chittakasha. So that's why mental space is larger than the physical space. And everything in the physical space, object in the physical space, is a thought in the mental space. So the mental space is bigger than the physical space. Now, where is the mental space appearing? The mental space is appearing in the awareness space. The Bhutakasha, physical space, is appearing in mental space called Chittakasha. Chittakasha is appearing in the awareness space called Bhut Chidakasha. So the Chidakasha is the infinite. It accommodates both mental space and physical space. And Chidakasha is my awareness. I am that awareness. I am that infinite awareness where the entire universe is appearing and disappearing. That awareness is my reality. I am that awareness. That awareness is the light of the self, Atma Jyoti. I am that Atma Jyoti. So this is the contemplation. Now, just become aware of the physical space, the space around you. The entire space is appearing in your mental space. The object in the physical space are nothing but thoughts in the mental space. Take your awareness to the body. Body is appearing in the mind. It's the mental space, the body and the world. Become aware of your breath, the in breath and out breath. As you become aware of the in breath and out breath, the mind starts calming down. The breath is changing. Breath, there's a movement in the breath, but I am the witness of the breath. The witness does not change. I am the unchanging reality. I am the awareness watching the breath. Become aware of yourself, the witness of the breath. Take your attention to the body. Scan your body from head to toe. Inch by inch, become aware of the body. Become aware of your head. There is sensation in the head. The sensations keep changing, but I am the witness of the sensation. I am the unchanging reality. Become aware of face. Scan the face. The sensation on the face are changing, but I am the unchanging reality, the witness of sensation. Become aware of your neck. Become aware of your chest. Become aware of your sensation in the chest and neck. Sensations change, but I am the unchanging reality. I am the witness. Become aware of yourself. Become aware of your left hand and right hand. Become aware of sensations in the right hand and left hand. I am the witness of the sensation in the left hand and right hand. Witness never changes. I am the unchanging reality, Sat Chit. Become aware of your back. Sensations in the back. I am the witness of the sensation in the back. I am the Sakshi. I am the witness. Witness never changes. Become aware of your thighs and leg and feet. Changes in the sensation. I am the witness, Sakshi, unchanging reality. The entire body is changing from childhood to old age. I am the witness, unchanging reality, witnessing the changes in the body. I am the witness, Sakshi. Take your awareness to the inner space in the body from head to toe. There is an inner space in the body. Center your attention in the chest space, chest cavity. Stay there. Stay in I am feeling. Any thought comes, bring back your attention to the inner space. Stay as I am. I am the witness of the body, mind, and intellect. The body, mind, and intellect are limited, but I am is infinite. I am the infinite self. I am Brahman. With that thought, stay in the chest cavity. I am Brahman is the Aham Brahmakara Vritti. With Brahmakara Vritti, stay there. Asatoma Sadgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti 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 Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamuduchyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Nanu Nanembudu Nanalla Ideha Manabuddhi Nanalla Sachidanandatma Shivananunane Shivoham Shivoham Shivoham. I'm not the body, I'm not the mind, I'm not the intellect, I'm pure consciousness, Shiva Swarupi. Atma Darshanam, Brahma Darshanam, Brahma Darshanam, Satya Darshanam. To know the self is to know God. To know God is to know the truth. There are many people who are suffering from corona in our country. Let us pray for them by chanting Mahamrityunjaya mantra 3 times. Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanat Mrityor Mukshiyamamritat. Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanat Mrityor Mukshiyamamritat. Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanat Mrityor Mukshiyamamritat. May all beings be happy. May all beings be peaceful. Lokaha samastaha Sukino bhavantu. Lokaha samastaha Sukino bhavantu. Lokaha samastaha Sukino bhavantu. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. So with that, just rub your hands, give warmth to the eyes, open your eyes. With that, we are concluding first part of our session today. So those who want to interact, ask questions, give feedback, can continue into next session. Those who want to drop out now,